That's
Okay, so good evening, students of NPTEL Swayam course Internet of Introduction to Internet of Things. I hope that you are enjoying the contents of the course. This is the second live session. So we already interacted uh, once during the first live session, and this is the second one. So I hope that all of you are able to enjoy the contents of the you are able to follow the course contents, and you are able to understand uh, what is being said in the video lecture. So remember one thing that as I said earlier also, that you should definitely uh, not just depend on the slides, right? So you should read beyond. There are a lot of references that you will find on the slides. So look at those references in the footnotes and the back of the this thing, the back of the slides. You will also be able to see a list of references at the end of the slides. So go through them, go through a lot of other materials are available on the internet. So basically all I want to say is that I mean, slides are just to give you the, you know, just the cream of the concept, right? So if you have to really understand deeper, you need to dig a little bit further. Okay. So that, that sort of effort you have to put in. So I hope that all of you are doing it. Books, as usual, I already told you. I don't need to repeat it again. Uh, Go through the recommended textbooks. Not recommended textbooks. These are the textbooks of the course. So these are already published on the course website. I don't need to repeat it, but if you want, I can once again uh, post them in the YouTube chat box here. However, I believe that whatever be the source, but what I believe is that you should not simply depend on just uh, just the slides or just what is being said uh, in the recorded content. Okay, so that is very crucial. If you really have to do well in the exams, you should also practice a lot of different types of questions, problems. And I already told you that the books are a great source for you to do so, right? If somebody has practiced the problems in the book from the end of, the exercises for the different chapters, corresponding chapters, then already, you have a good practice for sitting for the exams. But that kept aside, even in terms of learning the contents also, it is very important that try to you try to uh, understand the concepts in more detail by going through the contents from the different sources. Having said all of these, keep also in mind that this is an introductory level course. We touch upon a lot of different topics in this course, uh, but the intent is basically to stay at a level which is not neither too deep, not too shallow, somewhere in between. Um, and we want to keep the course at that level only. Okay. Um, so this is all I thought as a preamble I should mention to you in this discussion. If you have any questions, as usual, you know the protocol already. That type it in the chat box on YouTube, right? Um, Let me just have a quick look to see, if anybody has. Yeah, so somebody has already mentioned about how to download the admit card and all. So that basically, don't ask me, right? So administrative questions of this sort, contact your NPTEL, uh, person, the corresponding NPTEL person. So email NPTEL about it, okay, or call them. Okay. And yeah, so yeah, I don't see any other questions, but let me start as usual with some of the questions that were floated uh, through the questionnaire that was sent to you by NPTEL. So let's start with that. In the meanwhile, if you develop any further questions, feel free to post it in the chat box. So somebody has written like, I am interested in core electronics and telecommunication, but which field can I choose? Like a VLSI design, IoT, embedded system, or in telecom? Please, please guide about it. So let me tell you one thing that first of all, without knowing your details, right? So without knowing your background much, your interests, your competency, and many other things, it's not possible to basically do a career counseling of this sort, right? So first of all, we should not be doing career counseling here. That is one thing. But even if we want to do it, it is not possible to do it without having adequate information about you, right? But since you asked, let me tell you few generic points that you can keep in mind while taking a decision. Um, which one you would like, which way to go, etc. depends highly on your interests, right? Obviously, industry trends are there, right? So different fields having different specializations, you know. So keep your interests in mind, the industry trends in mind. And VLSI definitely, VLSI signals, these are definitely very uh, from an electronics background. Basically, if you somebody has, then definitely these are uh, quite attractive. But I hope that you also know what each of these areas, what is their focus. So for instance, VLSI is more focused on designing integrated circuits and microprocessors, right? But the question is that, I mean, this is definitely of huge demand to semiconductor industries, Qualcomm, Intel, etc. They are definitely interested in VLSI graduates. But the question that is that, I mean, it's not just the market demand, right? So is it something that you want? What is your interest, right? So that also you have to keep in mind. So IoT, remember that IoT is, as I said in a previous class also, uh, sorry, in the previous lecture also, that IoT is something where a lot of different verticals play important roles, right? So IoT by itself doesn't stand on its own, right? So embedded systems comes into picture. VLSI also may come, right? Um, then definitely signal processing is also there. A lot of things are there. So which aspect of IoT you would be interested in? That's that's the question, right? So, but the main thing is that in IoT, what you would learn about is basically how to use the microcontrollers or the microprocessors, like microcontrollers like ESP32. Similarly, sensors, wireless communication devices, Bluetooth, Zigbee, Wi-Fi, etc., and how you can develop an integrated platform, right? Which bases itself on different other vertical technologies and how you can, leverage all of the strengths of these technologies to build an integrated platform. So IoT basically requires, expertise and knowledge. So if somebody wants to work on IoT, you need knowledge of, different, uh, different areas like the ones that I mentioned. So to conclude, it's your career choice, right? So what decision you want to take is your own choice. So, but um as I said, like, industry trends are important, but definitely you should consider strongly your interests, right? And that's all I can say in a generic way against this question that you have asked here. Um, yeah. So what is the next question that was asked in the questionnaire? My watch displays the current weather downloaded from the internet. My watch is an IoT device. What do you mean? What is the question? My watch displays the current weather downloaded from the internet. Okay. My watch is an IoT device. So what is your question? I mean, your watch uh, can be an IoT device, no doubt about it, right? It depends on, I mean, it's not just the internet connectivity that makes your device an internet device, right? IoT device. If your watch just has internet connectivity, that doesn't make it solely an IoT device. But at the same time, that, if you are talking about a smartwatch, etc., most likely that your watch is also an IoT device. So it displays the weather. It is connected to some backbone network, internet in this case. It is quite likely to have some embedded uh, system with some processing and so on. So if the question is that whether it's an IoT device or not, then the chance that chances of it being an IoT device is quite a bit. But it doesn't have to be an IoT device in order to display something downloaded from the internet. Next question is that tell me about the question paper format in NPTEL exam. Any other classes for practicals for students? No. So format is MCQ, right? Format is MCQ. You should definitely prepare. Uh, so you see that there is no shortcut. Let me tell you. If you are just asking for the format, it is MCQ, right? Multiple choice type questions, very similar to what you have already faced in your assignments. But if anybody is curious about any type of questions, and giving a hint over here, that actually I cannot do it. I cannot really give you questions over here. It's MCQ. That's all I can reveal. Also, what I can tell you is that if you have done the assignments properly, then you should be already well versed with the concepts adequately, right? If you have not copied the assignments from anyone, if you have done the assignments on your own, if you have given due diligence to go through the concepts, build around the concepts, and go beyond what you have heard in the lectures, then already you have done your bit to a good extent, and you should not uh, you should be comfortable to attempt uh, many of the questions. Right. Right. Now, if you want to perform in an excellent manner, obviously, there will be, you will have to go much beyond, right? So, you, so definitely go through the books, right? And any other ancillary material that is cited in the lectures, I mean, in the slides. So regarding your second query, there are no practical classes as such, right? So you see the way these lectures were recorded years back was that these are intended to be more of, not more, solely theoretical, right? So theory. So there is no associated lab right? Although in some of the lectures, we try to expose you to certain equipments and, how you can use them, etc., how you can do a little bit of programming around the devices and so on. However, that's not the main intent. It's not a lab. Labs cannot be, I mean, it's not this kind of mode of offering of courses cannot handle labs properly, right? So these are like lectures which you attend, you learn. But if you want to do hands-on, and actually you should do hands-on also, there are a lot of tutorials on YouTube on building IoT based systems, right? So buy a couple of stuff like Raspberries, ESPs, Arduinos, couple of sensors, right? Uh, Breadboard, jumper wires, few of these basic things, sensors, actuators. Buy a couple of these and try things yourself. It's not a rocket science, basically, to understand them adequately by looking at the YouTube tutorials. Plenty of YouTube tutorials you will be able to find. It's very easy, not difficult, right? So do that yourself, take the self-initiative to do it. And yeah, so you do that and also try to implement some of the concepts that you learn over here in the theory, right? That will give you even better feeling of what you learned here. Next question is that what are the types of IoT environment and their different types of attacks? Types of IoT environment. What does that mean? So few attacks, basically, there are a lot of different types of possible attacks. But the thing is that, see, if you are talking about the application scenario, based on the application scenario, there could be different types of IoT environments. So for example, smart homes, you have heard about smart buildings, smart parking, smart industries, right? Smart factory floors, smart hospitals, smart physical environments as such. So each of them, they have their different features and characteristics. Okay. And similarly, there are attack vectors which denote in what ways IoT nodes belonging to such environments can be attacked. So for example, smart home IoT nodes are more prone to sniffing attacks, while physical environment nodes are more prone to physical tampering of the nodes. Let me also give you some more insight. So when we talk about, see, first of all, you must have seen that in this course, we have kept the topic of security away, right? So we have not touched security because security itself is a big topic and there are a lot of different aspects of security that should be covered. So security as such, we did not cover. But few things are quite intuitive. So if we are talking about a low resource consuming environment like IoT, small nodes, small processor, limited bandwidth, low data rate or high data rate is okay. Low energy, right? So then, it's a highly constrained kind of environment. So in such an environment, and it's a wireless channel typically, in most of the IoT, basically, we are talking about wireless interfaces. So you see that as such, wireless channels are more vulnerable to different types of attacks compared to the wired ones. On top, we are talking about low resource consuming environments like IoT. And you cannot run the strong security solutions that have been developed for the internet, right? Because computationally this will not be permitted, energy wise this will not be adequate. So these environments are very delicate, right? So You really cannot run your PKI or the all these strong uh, cryptographic techniques that are there, security mechanisms that are there on IoT as such. You cannot do it. So IoT researchers who focused on security, they tried to come up with lightweight solutions. We have not discussed in this course, but there are a lot of lightweight solutions that have been proposed in the research literature, right? So, so many of these, basically these solutions, they try to handle the different types of attacks, right? So all, whether it is Sybil attack or all these different types of attacks. I'm not going to name any of them. So all these attacks that are possible in the internet are still there in this kind of environment. Plus, due to the resource constraints, you have additional types of attacks possible, right? And if it is a decentralized kind of environment, then you will have its own vulnerabilities. So these, added vulnerabilities due to the additional constraints is something that challenges IoT very much. And IoT security in this kind of domain is uh, is a very hot topic of research uh, among the security researchers. Okay, I hope that I could give you some light of uh, what what the situation is like. Um, so these were the four main questions that I got in the offline mode from NPTEL. These questions were asked by some of you. Let me now go to the YouTube chat box and try to see if there are any additional questions. What's the format of NPTEL exam? I think I have already addressed it. How to build career in IoT? Well, as I said, I'm not doing a career counseling over here, but see, the thing is that career in IoT means what you want to be. So one of the very lucrative ones is to, basically come up with some interesting solutions of practical use for the society, right? Um, so there are a lot of problems, right? There are a lot of problems. So you want to, for example, parking is an issue, right? It's a well-known. I'm talking about a well-known problem. So city parking is an issue. So people are talking about solutions which will do smart parking, right? So if it is smart parking, you come up with some solution which addresses some of these issues. So with that, you come up with a product, right? And that product can be, you can have your startup which will sell this product, right? Obviously, it's not very simple, like the way I said, coming up to the level of a product itself is a, you know, it's quite a few steps, right? And then what you are trying to do is to commercialize it. So so startups with IoT solutions is something that I find quite attractive, which has also attracted a lot of different uh, people around the world. A lot of IoT startups you'll be able to see, right? So startups is something that I would definitely uh, recommend. So, but what is very important, let me also give you a few other things. So what is very important is also that you should have adequate knowledge of IoT, right? So if you're talking about building a career in IoT, you should not just depend on, these recorded lectures, right? So these recorded lectures are going to be your starting point, but you have to go beyond. Because, if you want to build a career in IoT, that would require a blend of technical knowledge, hands-on experience, and also a strategic approach to stay updated with the different emerging technologies. So you need to basically acquire some foundational knowledge. Foundational knowledge means like what you are already doing, understanding the different IoT concepts, right? And as IoT doesn't stand on its own, understanding the associated concepts of sensors, cloud, connectivity, embedded devices, right? Second would be the electronics, right? Uh, Electronics around it. So, you need to have the foundational knowledge, the theoretical as well as the hands-on, right? So theoretical is very important. Then the basics of networks, whatever network protocols will be used, why they are going to be used, what were the alternatives, which protocol to be used when, right? So for that, you need to have some deeper understanding of the IoT networking concepts. Programming languages like Python, C++, Java, right? Python is particularly attractive. Embedded C is also used, right? So you need to have some knowledge built around that. And I already told you that cloud, and not just cloud, nowadays people are very much fascinated about doing the processing at the edge also. So edge computing, cloud computing, edge computing, etc. These are also crucial. So that will give you the basics, basically, basic understanding, basic knowledge, right? Then you need to do some hands-on practice. And for this, basically, as I said, you need to build some small projects to start with. Then gradually you need to build it like, even at a higher level. So build projects like, you start with small projects like a small, something like a smart home kind of system where there will be temperature control and monitoring and so on, right? So some basic home automation kind of thing that you can do. You can also play around with different types of IoT platforms like ESP, Raspberry, Arduino, and so on, right? In your prototypes. Then you should also contribute to open sourcing, uh, like IoT related GitHub repositories, contribute over there, right? To the code base that is already there. You can also advance your skills further, get deeper into analytics, and even beyond, not just basic analytics. Like, beyond means like deep learning, okay, artificial intelligence, different other techniques, and so on. And like one of you said, security also, because practically, if you do not have a security solution in place in whatever you are building, nobody is going to buy your solution, right? So you need to build that. And obviously, you need to join professional fora, right? Different types of professional forums. And from there, actually, you can gradually, incrementally, you can share ideas, share code, help each other, have a community, build around that community, and so on. I hope that I could give you some insight on this. So I already said, like, format of NPTEL exam, MCQ, that I already said. I don't need to repeat. Um, no. See, next question is, could you, one thing, let me just tell you, in future, I'm not going to respond to any question that doesn't have an adequate verifiable name from our student list, right? So, all these pseudonyms like CR707, etc. If you are logging in through some other names, right? So some other login with a cryptic kind of name, then I'm going to ignore such questions. So for today, I'm going to respond, but henceforth, if you are asking a question, put your actual name, okay? And it should be verifiable. It should come from the database that we have the student list that we have got from NPTEL. Okay. Anyways, let me answer your question. Try to answer your question. I mean, you have asked a question which is difficult for me to answer, but let me attempt it. So the question is that could you explain some points regarding the importance of GATE exam? See, again, I mean, I do not really understand how relevant it is for, a discussion on IoT, right? Uh, as such, GATE has its own importance, right? So undoubtedly, because through GATE, you can apply for postgraduate programs, you can even go for public sector placements and so on, right? So it has its own this thing. Now, uh, so so that's about GATE. So as I said, like, let us not get too deep into this thing, but let us focus on IoT as such. What is, I mean, this is basically the discussion. Today's discussion is on IoT. So next question is, by scoring good percentage in NPTEL, is there a possibility to get an internship from NPTEL? So NPTEL basically, contact NPTEL, and they have a very lucrative internship program, NPTEL internship, and twice a year I try to get students for at least 2 months through the NPTEL. So, but the thing is that the selections are done from the top scorers in the NPTEL course, right? Top. And not like, if you top, it's automatic, not like that. Then again, it has to go through few rounds of screening. So shortlisting, screening, some cases interviews and so on, right? And only a very few would be selected based on the requirements of the host faculty, right? So definitely contact NPTEL, right? So they will tell you, they will give you more information about NPTEL internship. What's your question? I don't really understand your question. It's it's QN embedded system. It's an embedded device, your watch. Means what? What do you want to ask? See, smartwatches use commonly use embedded devices, right? So if you're talking about a smartwatch, yes, in most cases it has an embedded device, right? Anyways, let's go to the next question. Please ask questions with correct English. Otherwise, if you are not, you know, if your English is not well understood, how can we answer your question? Do you know any Indian companies that specializes in making IoT devices geared towards agricultural field? There are lots of such companies, which are uh, based in India, incubated in India, specializing in agricultural IoT solutions, right? So, so search in the internet, you'll be able to get. Even, I have my own startup incubated at IIT Kharagpur, Sensor Drops Networks. So if any company, any of you have any specific requirements, right, we do take consulting projects for them, right? So do let me know. But that's separate from NPTEL course. Next question is, please give some important questions. Important questions, no, that I cannot do. Exactly tell me how to prepare for the exam, like from study material or assignment questions. No, that I cannot tell. No. Whatever I could tell, I have already told that, right? Uh, so I cannot tell you like this topic is more important than another, because actually all topics are important and questions are asked spanning a wide range of topics that are covered, right? Um, yeah, pattern of exam, descriptive paper, no, MCQ, right? So next question is how to crack the NPTEL exam. No. there is no shortcut. I already answered this question earlier. You need to work harder. You have to go beyond slides and recordings, right? So you have to work hard, go through the books, go through additional materials, like I said before. So you have to basically, and to do the assignments yourself, which I also mentioned earlier, right? If you do the assignments adequately, independently yourself, then that would mean that you have uh, you have understood many of the concepts properly, and which means that you should be able to attempt any question that is asked during the exam. Any other question? No questions further? Any technical question? Okay, I'll just wait for a minute. If there is no other question, then we are going to end the session. So for preparing for the exam, as I said, so why don't you invest some more time? We are only midway, right, in the session. You should invest your time. Don't take a shortcut, because at the end of the course, what we want is that you should have sufficient level of expertise developed. So, don't just restrict yourself to the slides or, the transcriptions that you get, right? Don't just restrict yourself to that. And the recordings, because I mean, nowhere in the world basically anybody can do well by just reading slides of a course, right? So you definitely will have to go through the books, right? There are textbooks for this course. Take help of that, go through the corresponding materials, and there you will find elaborations of the concepts that are there, uh, that are covered in the lectures, video lecture, the recorded lectures. So go through that. Okay. So you see that, I mean, success will come only from hard work. There is no shortcut, right? And it's difficult for me to give any hints also regarding the kind of question. It's a kind of in the sense like, I cannot tell you that this is the question, right? So, and also like, all topics are important because, there will be several MCQ questions and they touch upon different topics, right? So it's not going to be fair for me to tell you that only these topics are important. Not like that, all topics are important. So, and the other alternative is basically to tell you what is the question, which cannot happen, right? So I hope that you understand it. Is it a proctored exam? Get in touch with NPTEL. I don't really understand. Somebody has asked, like, I regularly see videos, sometimes very complicated to understand because very pure English words are there. Means what? Your question is not very clear. So if you are, if you have some deficiency in English, you have to basically, enroll yourself in some course to, strengthen your English base. Otherwise, why don't you, if you are not able to understand some English words, why don't you keep a dictionary in front of you and refer to that means that you have to put more effort, right? You have to put more effort. So you have to also look through, and nowadays it's very easy, right? So Google a particular word that you are not able to understand, you get the meaning. You don't even have to open a dictionary, right? So uh, if English is something that is bothering you, then definitely you have to put more work into it. Yeah, question paper pattern, I already told you. I think several of you asked. So, any other question? Okay, then. So let us end the session here. All the best. Happy learning. And yeah, hope to see you in the next live session. Till then, if you have any further questions, feel free to make your post in the discussion forum. Thank you. Bye.